Welcome back now to the main issue for today. According to the International Labour Organization, small businesses make up 96% of all businesses in Nigeria and are responsible for contributing 48% to the country's GDP. Furthermore, these businesses provide 84% of the country's employment opportunities. However, they have adopted strategies for survival in the harsh economic climate in Nigeria. Our managing partner, PELSE Consulting, Oluwafemi Boboye, joins me now in this conversation. Thanks for joining us on Business Insight, Femi.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Femi, let us look post-pandemic. Despite the CBN's intervention, about 2 million small businesses have crumbled under the weight of inflation and high interest rate, which have further eroded their cash flow and liquidity. How do you think they can wriggle out of this stormy weather?
Well, you just highlighted some major issues now, talking about liquidity and cash flow. And we know in business, cash flow is like king, It speaks to your ability to pay your lenders and be able to take care of your current expenses, and as the case may be. So what we've seen over the last few years, especially in the last few months, the introduction of the policy of Naira redesign, rejection of the old notes, and then cashless policy, that alone was a major challenge for most SMEs. In the sense that you do not forget that some SMEs require raw materials to make their final produce. And these raw materials are not sourced in the urban centers. They are usually sourced in the rural areas. And in these rural areas, the digital inclusion that you experience in the urban centers are not available. Likewise, also the financial. So most of these transactions need to be done via cash, and these cash are not available. And this was a major challenge for them. Thankfully, there's a reverse, and businesses are now trying to rebound. So as you can see, the problems we are making serious mistakes without paying attention to these elements and their peculiarity, especially given the critical situation that the country is, because the economy is not being as best as it could at the moment, and then putting further pressures through policies that were not carefully implemented could further dampen the problem that we are facing. However, we thank God for the creativity of our people and their ability to innovate to survive. But the challenge I have with people coming out innovative ways for survival is that it then deprive you of the benefits that's supposed to add to the nation. For instance, now you see SMEs trying to go lean, but then by going lean, they are reducing the number of employees that they have so as to stay afloat. They are no longer investing in a certain level of infrastructure so as to keep overhead costs low. And by doing that, it means that unemployment issues will continue to increase, and then the entire circular economy will also be affected. So these are areas that people are looking at. For giving an instance, the issue of power. Most people now generate their power by themselves. They have generating sets, solar powers, and these things are very expensive to maintain. But for you to keep your business going, you have to find means to power your business. And when you are doing that, and so many businesses are power reliant, heavily power reliant, to be able to run their businesses on day to day. And when they are not available, it becomes a major issue. They are doing that, it also increases their cost, which will be passed on to the consumers.
All right, Femi.
So all of these things they are surviving via that.
Okay, I was going to say that since you've mentioned the issue of infrastructure, let's even stay on that for a bit. While the country has made some progress in the World Bank's ease of doing business, having moved 15 places from 146 to 190 countries in 2018 to 135 in 2023, running business is still a Herculean task in Nigeria. Let's look at issues of multiple taxations, poor access to credit, and you have also mentioned rightly the inadequate public infrastructure and low capacity and all of that. Let's talk about multiple taxation. What should we be focusing right now? What are the leeways that be given to this as MSMEs so that they can actually flourish?
So regarding multiple taxation, I think it's something that now that we have an incoming government coming in, I think it's an area that we have to sit down with professionals and begin to look at the peculiarities of organizations in the SME. If truly we want SMEs to grow and deliver on its promise to truly help us address the issue of unemployment, because the vast majority of businesses in Nigeria are SMEs. So if we really want to be intentional about helping these SMEs becoming more stable, more sustainable, and more profitable so that they can now scale, then we have to look at the issue of taxation. In fact, I think we should just be looking at area where we are giving them a tax holiday for a specific period for certain businesses that have the capacity to drive people. This tax holiday should also be incentivized, and it should be like there should be a KPI to say that we are giving you this tax holiday, but you must at the end of the day be able to do this, employ one or two more persons, do this within the social period of time. That way, we can then begin to look at not just we are giving tax to people who will just go and sit down and then sit idle and not do a lot about it. But then you are giving them a condition to it to say that we want you to be, we know you can help us to drive employment, we know you can help us to improve the GDP of the country. If you are doing this, if you are able to meet certain metrics and stuff like that, you get certain taxes, you get certain deeds, you get certain leaves, as a leaves, rather. So it makes it easy for people to track. As it were now, there are a lot of taxes that you have to pay as a business owner. Local government will come with some, the state government will come with some, and the federal government will come with some. And there are certain things as you are buying them, as you are, because you need to get some raw materials also, you're already taxed, and all of these things are there. Of course, government need these taxes to also implement their programs and agendas. But nevertheless, also have to look at how then do we manage this to ensure that it's a win-win, both for the government and also for these SMEs. So those are some of the things, because each of these tax thoughts or approach that you may want to look at, they have their pros and cons. Then we have to sit down and analyze them and look at where do we want to go from here. We have over 30-something million SMEs. Where do we want to take them to? So those are some of the things.
All right, so let's talk about regulation still for SMEs in Nigeria. For the first 3 months of this year, Nigerians generally felt the impact of the cash crunch and naira scarcity, as it were, or the CBN cashless policy, which you have alluded to when you were analyzing some of the challenges. But in terms of regulation right now, how would you really say the impact, or impacts have been directly on SMEs, plus with organizations like SMEs, and how have they been able to channel the cause of small businesses in the country?
So the impact, in fact, I think it is too early to even quantify what the impact is or will be, because we are just coming out of this cash crunch policy infested era that we just came out of. I think because what we observed then was that prices went up because people are trying to compensate for the cost of doing business using the electronic means, like the cashless policies. We got to a situation whereby people have to pay for naira to get naira. You have to pay maybe 1,000 naira to get 5,000 or 2,000 naira sometimes. These issues that actually were not like very, very good for businesses. And unfortunately, it's pressurizing many households, because you have small businesses that provide stable things that people can easily get access to. I'll give you a typical example. You take, for example, you run a restaurant and then you need to go to the market to buy the things you use. The women in the market, most of them want you to pay them by cash, because they too buy these products from the the rural areas where they bring them from into places like Lagos or Port or Abuja, those people would not want you to pay them via bank because there is even no bank in those rural areas. So how then do they access this cash? So these are some of the challenges that this business, we now understand that one of these we observe is that some of them are unable to open their shops during this period. Some had to close down because they don't have access to the raw materials to maintain, to keep running their business. These are some of the things that I think that was observed during this cash crunch regime. But for an organization like Sweden, I think one of the things they can do is to come up with a position to the new administration on what they think should be done going forward. Because we can't go back to something like that again. Doing something like that is not going to only harm our development, it's going to further harm the SMEs that are already struggling.
All right, Femi, we'd have to talk more concerning SMEs development because there's a whole lot to discuss, specifically insurance, because from reports that we hear, only just about 0.5% of SMEs are actually insured in Nigeria compared to 54% globally. But we'll look at that on another day. Thank you so much, Oluwafemi Boboye, Managing Partner, PELSE Consulting. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, as we round off, there is a knowledge gap and information in Africa, and as such, people need to understand what to do and apply information to create wealth. This formed part of this course at the Wealth Creation Summit organized by Knowledge Digest Africa with speakers from Africa and other parts of the world. I will leave you with details of that report. I am Justin Akadonia. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now. Online platforms are offering wealth management services and delivering faster customer growth, cheaper cost structures, and superior innovation, and therefore command a significant market premium, which is threatening the market dominance of traditional players.
What expertise do you have and you feel people will be willing to pay for? Number two question we are going to answer today is, what is the value proposition you want to present to the world?
Experts have converged on this whole to provide startups, SMEs, and career professionals with the opportunity to deepen the conversation.
So I believe in mentorship or grassroots because I know that if the curriculum can be restructured, many people are going to understand entrepreneurship, management of skills and all of that, which basically is not happening currently in the curriculum of our country, Nigeria, and in many parts of the African country. And that's what we're trying to do, to bring knowledge closer with practical experience. It looks informal, but has a lot of detail about giving results.
The discussion centered on starting and growing business, monetizing digital skills, as well as tech innovation for productivity and profitability at work. Entrepreneurs are also advised to have a good knowledge of what they want to do.
I mean, before you go into putting money into cryptocurrency, do you understand what cryptocurrency is? Do you have the skill and the education required to actually put your money into that? I always advise people, start by knowing what you want to put your money into. There are so many platforms where you can invest money. Because if you are going into forex market, we are trading 6.6 trillion every day. And you don't want to go in there and just throw money elsewhere. Start by learning.
My coming here is to bring practical experience, is to bring what I would call working information that can help these young minds transform the mind. It's really a mind game. Once the mind can be transformed and at that base of it, that grassroots, that background of it, it's going to change everything.
Young people are well represented at the summit, and the academics are speaking on the essence of being future ready by bringing the town and gown together in the co-production of knowledge.
The essence of the average TOA is to produce human resources for those in the industry. But from what we have seen in the past, there seems to be a gulf. Because sometimes we have seen employers complaining about, they talk about the quality. It's not the quality of the graduate per se, but they're talking about those graduates that are work ready, that are employment ready. And that's why we thought that for us to be able to achieve that, the two must come together.
Findings show that despite geopolitical and economic destabilizers such as inflation and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, approximately $80 trillion in new wealth is likely to be created over the next 5 years.